Right now at 6, residents in Northeast Oklahoma are looking for answers for the chat piles surrounding Pitcher, Oklahoma.
And temperature is going to be near average today. We'll also have some gusty winds to deal with. A look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, controversial comments from a Joplin city councilman spark a recall push.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It is Friday, finally Friday here in the 4 states, April the 11th. We've had a pretty good week so far from the weather department, especially compared to last week. And this good weather will last for a while. It's going to get very breezy though, but that's the trade-off in spring. And
absolutely.
Always that way around here, and today no exception to that rule. Quick look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear and we're looking fairly good to start the day. Same from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline in Joplin. Future track today, we're looking at abundant sunshine out there. We're just gonna have to deal with some gusty north winds. Temperatures cooler than where we were the last couple of days, but they'll actually be pretty close to normal, which will be a nice little change. And then overnight tonight, winds will change on us. It'll be chilly tonight. And we start warming up as we head into the upcoming weekend. We're sitting at 46 in Joplin, 45 in Pittsburgh, and across the area, temperatures look like this. Most of us mid-upper 40s. We have some low 50s down to the south. We do have some low 40s here and there. Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, for example, all at 43. But again, not bad. Pretty close to normal even right now. We didn't get nearly as cool as we were expecting because the winds didn't get as gusty. They didn't push in that cold air as fast as expected. So again, not that anybody's necessarily complaining, but it just didn't get as cold. So kids getting on the bus, mid-40s, clear skies, northwest winds 5 to 10. By this afternoon, those north winds start gusting up to 25. Still sunny though. It'll be about 66 when the bus brings the kids home. And we're looking at highs a bit warmer as well than what we were anticipating today, but only by a few degrees. Mid-upper 60s, which again, that'll put us about average for this time of year. Average high about 67. So we're going to be right on the money today. We are going to continue to warm. In fact, we're going to warm a lot as we head into Sunday, and it's going to get even windier. Details in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. We'll see you soon. Well, last April, Ryan Jackson ran uncontested and won a 4-year term for the Zone 3 seat on Joplin City Council. But now there is a community effort to recall Jackson from his position following a series of comments he made on a Facebook post. KOAM's Samantha Walker has the story.
In a series of social media comments, Joplin City Councilman Ryan Jackson refers to gender dysphoria as a mental illness and says people, quote, push the ideology on mentally unhealthy people and impressionable children. The incident sparked backlash, with community members organizing an effort to remove Jackson from his position, including a recall petition. The petition says the councilman, quote, failed to uphold his oath of office and has shown an inability to conduct oneself in a manner that preserves public confidence and respect. The founder and co-chair of Jomo Pride is behind the effort to recall Jackson. In a statement, Ron Birch says the petition is, quote, not due to a singular incident, but a culmination of issues since Councilmember Jackson took office. They add that hate speech, slurs, and making fun of those with disabilities and mental illnesses should not be tolerated from a city council member. According to the Joplin City Charter, a recall election can be held if a sufficient petition containing signatures from at least 20% of those registered to vote in the last municipal election is submitted to the city clerk. I spoke to Councilman Jackson, who says the controversial comments were made from his personal account, not from one associated with his role with council. He says, quote, we are all entitled to our opinion and freedom of speech, and, quote, science shows there are 2 genders and that's it. I don't believe men should be in women's spaces. Jackson says community members have approached him about controversial comments from other council members, but he told them others are entitled to their opinion.
Now, organizers working to recall Ryan Jackson say they'll be at Blackthorn Pizza and Pub today from 4 to 6 with petitions to sign. Well, utility companies across the country have a simple message for their customers: dig safely. Now, right here in our area, Spire Gas wants to encourage residents to call 811 before starting any project that involves putting a shovel into the ground. They say calling 811 a few business days before digging can prevent almost every accidental damage to a utility line which can cause injury, death, or harm to the environment.
Protects it from people getting harmed or even possibly killed. There's been, like, our gas lines have been hit before, and that's a dangerous product to have blowing out in the open. It's you know, when we get there, it's pretty safe, but we never want gas escaping without our intentions.
Well, Spire Gas says accidents can always happen, and if a utility line is damaged, they say call 911 first before calling Spire and 811 to report the damage. April is National Safe Digging Month. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, in celebration of the Week of the Young Child, the Pittsburgh Police Department invited the public out to grab a bag full of art supplies. Now, each bag included a canvas, some stickers, markers, and crayons for young aspiring artists. The first come, first served event was sponsored by Crawford County Mental Health Center, the Kansas Children's Service League, and the Pittsburgh Police Department. Well, work continues in Ottawa County surrounding the Tar Creek Superfund site. Now, the cleanup from decades of mining left behind soil and water contamination, as well as millions of pounds of the substance known as chat. The EPA Region 6 hosted a meeting at the Miami Civic Center to discuss the project. KOAM's Anthony Saviello shows us where the effort is headed.
Work continues as trucks carry thousands of pounds of chat out of pitcher to be disposed of safely.
It's a well-organized machine in that matter because we have to organize haul routes to make sure we're being safe not only for our drivers but for the general public as well.
The Quapaw Nation is just one of the dozens of groups working to remediate the land in Ottawa County to what it once was.
Growing up here as a kid, you would see like a mountain from the distance in Pitcher. That's all gone now. Working for the City of Commerce, I've seen the work that they've done, where the land was prior and what it looks like after. It's a completely 190. It's beautiful when they leave it.
But there is still a lot of work to be done.
So our standards for wanting to make sure that this work is done efficiently, correctly, and as most beneficial to the property and environment as we can. It's our homeland. This is where we're going to be at. Quapaw Tribe's going to be here forever, and so we want it done right.
And as groups continue to navigate the hoops they have to jump through,
we have to plan well out in advance, and then we've been trying to open communications with Region 7 to make sure that we're doing the same stuff in stream for levels that they're doing, and we're trying to work from upstream south so we're not recontaminating things, working backwards. So
residents are optimistic.
Absolutely, there's still the same concerns, but do I feel like that's starting to get better and dwindle as far as the improvements? Because of the improvements, yeah. In
Ottawa County, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The Ottawa County Health Department offers free blood lead testing for children, and you can also get your yard tested free of charge. Now, we've provided a link to all this information and more on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. The FAA begins its investigation after a sightseeing helicopter crashes into the Hudson River. Plus, a California police officer will not let his disability stop him from performing his duties. And Chris will have your weekend forecast from the KOAM Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning, the Wall Street Journal is reporting the Trump administration may push for a legal arrangement that would put Columbia University into a consent decree. Now, the media outlet cites sources that indicate should consent decree take effect, a federal judge would ensure Columbia's practices were in line with the federal government. Now, a judge could hold the school in contempt of court if it does not abide. A consent decree can last for years. Now, when asked about the report, a spokesperson for the school says Columbia is in active talks with the government in order to restore its funding. Well, a federal judge is allowing the Trump administration's new immigration registration policy to move forward. Now, it includes mandates like requiring non-citizens aged 14 and older to register with the government, submit biometric data like fingerprinting, and carry proof of registration. Now, failure to do so could result in criminal charges. Now, the policy was challenged in a lawsuit filed in March by numerous immigrant advocacy groups. Now, they argued that the rules would disproportionately harm non-citizens, especially those who have already been screened and vetted by the federal government. Well, the Justice Department filed notice it will review its case against a former FBI informant who was convicted of lying about the Biden family's ties to Ukraine. Alexander Smirnov was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Now, he was convicted for falsely telling FBI agents in 2020 that President Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden had taken a $10 million bribe from Ukrainian energy company Burisma. Now, Smirnov's story was a centerpiece to the Republicans' effort to impeach then President Biden. And the Smirnov conviction was part of Special Counsel David Weiss's investigation into Hunter Biden and related matters. Now, in Thursday's court filing, the DOJ gave little information about the reason for the review and what it will entail. Well, 6 people were killed yesterday afternoon when a helicopter crashed into the Hudson River in New York. Now, first responders worked to pull people from the water. Lee Waldman is on the scene with the details. Now, a warning, the report contains some disturbing video.
Video footage captured the moment the helicopter fell from the sky. 3 children and 3 adults were on board. Divers worked to rescue the pilot and 5 passengers on the sightseeing helicopter that submerged after crashing into the Hudson River.
At this time, all 6 victims have been removed from the water. And sadly, all 6 victims have been pronounced deceased.
The NYPD reported the helicopter crash at Pier 40 around 3:17 this afternoon. Rescue efforts got underway with emergency vehicles flooding into the surrounding area. Officials say they arrived on scene within minutes.
NYPD divers pulled 4 people from the crash site, and FDNY divers recovered an additional 2. Immediate life-saving measures were undertaken on the vessels at the scene, as well as the adjoining pier. 4 victims were pronounced dead on scene, and 2 more were removed to local area hospitals, where sadly both succumbed to their injuries.
Authorities report that the helicopter had been in the air for about 16 minutes before this crash. The victims, a family visiting the U.S. from Spain, according to New York Mayor Eric Adams.
We were met by the first responders and they told us they did everything they can to try to save these victims, and you can see the trauma in their face. They did everything they can, and they wanted me to make sure that I made that public. They really tried their hardest.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Well, the cause of the crash is under investigation, and the New York Police Commissioner says the victims' identities are being withheld pending next of kin notification. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating the crash. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear right now, and it is clear around us, and it will remain that way for the next few days. We have cooler temperatures today. We'll start to warm up as we head into the weekend. We'll cool back down next week. We'll go over all those details with the full forecast here in just a few more minutes.
Well, a California man made history Thursday. He's now a motorcycle officer at the San Diego Police Department. And the history part, well, Jane Kim has the story.
That police officer is Mark Wright. Thursday, he became the first amputee motorcycle officer at the San Diego Police Department. He's also the first such officer in the country.
It's a testament to the department, the fact that they're allowing me the opportunities to prove myself. That's why I love this opportunity to go in front of the camera and just tell other amputees that don't limit yourself. Our mind is our greatest enemy sometimes.
Officer Wright lost his leg back in 2022. He was on his way home from work when his car hit an abandoned vehicle on the 15 North. His left leg had to be amputated.
Me losing my leg, there's a lot of people who thought I was crazy for getting back on the motorcycle.
Now, after 3 weeks of rigorous training, he's achieved his dream of riding a motorcycle for San Diego PD. But it wasn't easy.
Learning the prosthetic because they weren't able to modify the motorcycle at all. So trying to learn how to shift again with a fake foot was pretty difficult. But again, mind over matter.
He rose to the occasion.
Lieutenant Dan Hall oversees the motorcycle unit for the department.
Everybody has hardships in their life, but this young man ended up taking a catastrophic injury that anyone would think would be catastrophic to their life and did not deviate one iota from his dream.
For Wright, he knows he's capable of anything that comes his way.
I know what I can do, and if it's going to be challenging, all the better. But, our mind is our only limit.
Well, Wright says this achievement reinforces his belief in human potential. Now let's head over to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, looking at the MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline in Joplin. Skies are clear this morning, and they will remain that way for the next few days. We'll have another full look at your forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 6:23 now on this Friday morning, starting with a live look at the sunrise from downtown Pittsburgh, and it is looking great so far, and we will continue to look great over the next few days, and our temperatures will continue to warm as well. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline looking fantastic as well. Got a few more cars on the road, and every so often it glitches, and then you get one car that multiplies into 20 before it morphs back into 1. But otherwise, looking fantastic. There we are onto the future track. We are going to have gusty north winds kicking in. Now, that's part of the reason why, though, we didn't get as cold last night and why we'll be just a hair warmer this morning. Winds didn't really gust all that much last night as was originally expected. So it didn't usher in as much cool air as fast as was expected. So we didn't get as cold last night, which will help us be a hair warmer as we head into the afternoon. Still cooler than the last couple of days, but a little warmer than what we were initially thinking. Again, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that by any means, but I got a pretty decent day. Our temperatures today pretty close to normal. Now, overnight tonight, one thing that hasn't changed, we are still looking at temperatures dropping back into the low 40s. We could get, again, some upper 30s, but the good news there is we're not anticipating anybody reaching the freezing mark. Winds will shift out of the southeast overnight, and as we go through the morning hours tomorrow, they'll switch out of the south, and they'll start gusting again upwards of 25. That will bring in even warmer temperatures, and plentiful sunshine continues, so we're now into the low 70s across the area for our Saturday. We go Saturday night into Sunday, thanks to those gusty south winds continuing. In fact, they'll increase as we head into our Sunday, maybe even switch out of the southwest. We're talking gusts on Sunday, 30, 40 miles an hour possible for sure. We are going to be even warmer. We're starting Sunday morning, upper 50s, low 60s. By the afternoon, we're already upper 60s, low 70s, but that wind really cranking out there. Partly cloudy skies for our Sunday. Not that many clouds out there. And take a look at these temperatures. By Sunday evening, we've got low mid 80s for most of us, upper 80s in our western counties. I mentioned earlier, parts of western Oklahoma could see the triple digits tomorrow, on Sunday. So that's talking about a big warm up. And then we'll cool back down for a little bit before more warmer air arrives. Our camera 7th and Rangeline, another great view of that sunrise there. We're sitting at 46 in Joplin. Skies are clear, and that's what I'm talking about. Our northwest wind at 3 miles an hour. We were expecting some gusts on a slightly higher wind, so that's why not all of us got nearly as cold as we were expecting last night. We do have some low 40s in our northern counties right now. We've got Iola as the cold spot at 42. The rest of us, for the most part, mid-upper 40s out there, and it looks as though Bentonville back to the warm spot, but not by much. No, you're tied with Cassville, at 49 right now. Going through the morning, upper 40s by 8 o'clock, clear skies, near 60 by 11 this morning, and we'll eventually warm again, mid-upper 60s, and 67 is about our average high, so many of us are going to be right where we should be, with those north winds again gusting upwards of 25 miles an hour. Clear skies through the evening and overnight, low 50s by 10, low 40s tonight, southeast winds 5 to 10. Tomorrow, low 70s, Sunday, low 80s, and then we cool back down near normal. A few more clouds to start the next work week. Temperatures begin to warm again as we head to the second half of next week. Some rain and thunderstorm chances to Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Temperatures back to the low 80s by next weekend. That's Check Your Forecast. We're going to send it over to Lisa now with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the use of the flu vaccine is rising among groups that have previously lagged behind in vaccinations. A study published in JAMA showed between 2019 and 2022, flu vaccination rates rose 7% for older Black adults in rural communities and 8% for older Hispanic adults in rural areas. However, vaccinations of white people in rural areas are decreasing. Well, there may be a medical reason for the fatigue and lack of motivation some late-stage cancer patients feel. A study by Washington University found there's a direct connection between the inflammation caused by advanced cancer and a loss of motivation. Inflammation can suppress the chemical dopamine in the brain, which can result in apathy and a loss of drive. Well, an already existing vaccine could help fight dementia. A study by Stanford found that the shingles vaccine also cut older adults' risks of developing dementia over the next 7 years by 20%. Now, this could be because the shingles virus causes inflammation, which can adversely affect the brain. Now, shingles was also shown to induce formation of a sticky protein called amyloid, which has been linked to Alzheimer's. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, warmer weather means more time outside, but that also could mean unwanted encounters with others.
And we've got a bit of a cool start to the day, a little cooler out there for us, but a pretty nice day. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Joplin Senior Center holds an expo specifically with area seniors in mind.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's finally Friday here in the 4 states, April the 11th. And boy, it's going to be nice. Of course, as we mentioned, folks heading out to the park a little bit more often, heading outside a little bit more out there.
That time of year.
It certainly
Feels
is.
so nice outside lately.
Yeah, it is.
So
And we're settling into that point where even on cooler days, we're not cold anymore.
Right.
You know, we're starting to settle in where cool days.
Even the breeze isn't too bad.
Yeah, the breeze yesterday, man, I sat outside for a little bit and it was
really
just
nice.
Super mesmerizing. Watching the clouds, the blue sky, and feeling the light breeze. A nice day. I want to do that again. Maybe today is a great day to do that. If not, you got some time through the weekend. Already got those clear skies out there. Sun beginning to rise. You can see from our camera downtown Pittsburgh at 4th and Broadway. Looking back to the east, MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline in Joplin, of course, pointed back to the north. Looks good as well. The future track looks great too. Clear skies. The only thing it's showing us is those gusty north winds. Now, a couple of things here. We didn't get as windy last night as we were expecting, which means we didn't get as much cold air forced into the area as we were expecting. So we didn't get as cold for most of us last night, which means we're starting a little warmer. So heading into the afternoon, we're going to be a little warmer, but still not as warm as we have been the last couple of days here in the 4 states. Sitting at 46 in Joplin, 45 over in Pittsburgh and across the area. Most of us into the mid to upper 40s. We do have some low 40s in our northern counties. So Iola right now, I think is still the cold spot at 42. Bentonville, Cassville, the warmer spots, each at 49. So again, chilly, but near normal. And that's where our highs are headed today too, is near normal. Clear skies, kids getting on the bus, mid 40s, northwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. And when that bus brings them home, north winds start increasing, gusting to 25. Still sunny though at about 66. And again, our highs for many of us, mid to upper 60s. We were expecting more low 60s today. So again, a few degrees warmer, near normal, but a bit cooler than where we have been the last couple of days across the 4 states. We got warm, very warm weather, honestly, heading into the upcoming weekend, and we have rain chances next week. Go over all those details with you in the full forecast. That's coming up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. We'll see you in just a bit. Well, the milder temperatures mean more people spending time outside, and the rising temperatures could also mean rising tempers. Now, as more head outside to enjoy outdoor activities, you and your property could be vulnerable. KOAM's Lonnie Walton spoke with law enforcement about tips to keep you safe.
Going to a local park, or just say spending quality time in the sun with their families is nice, but so is their safety.
I am the one to always check my surroundings.
Madison is spending time at the park. However, one thing she keeps at the top of her mind, her personal safety.
I would take my wallet with me or my purse and keep it with me at all times, make sure I have my eyes on it.
Her sister Mercedes does that too.
To be honest, I just either bring my wallet with me or I put it in my glove box and lock her up.
According to Lieutenant Kyle Hand from Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, these women have the right idea.
If you do leave your valuables in a car, make sure that they're concealed somewhere underneath the seats.
We all have heard the saying, if you see something, say something, but law enforcement says there's a few things they'd like to know to make their job easier.
If you can provide a description of a person that's injured or the person that is committing a crime, a detailed description of them, if they're driving a vehicle, what that vehicle looks like, a tag number is always awesome.
Both Madison and Mercedes say they just want to keep things simple.
Occasionally we'll take a little walk if we're feeling up for it, but usually just the playground is enough for us.
If I have anything, I will put it in my glove box or put it in my console, just keep everything locked up.
And with that said, most individuals we spoke to say they feel pretty safe in the 4 states. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Lieutenant Hand says if you're ever concerned about your safety, he recommends take protective gear like pepper spray with you. Well, the Wildcat Glades Nature Group is hosting its semi-annual rummage sale, and they're inviting the community to take part.
We have people that show up to our rummage sales. That's when we see them. We see them twice a year, and they come in. They leave a donation on top of whatever they purchased, and so it's really fun to catch up with friends and just to see that. It's just a really neat experience.
The rummaging sale begins today at the IBEW Hall on Hearns Boulevard from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and will continue on Saturday. The Joplin Senior Center held the annual Senior Expo. The event showcased vendors from around the area whose products are specific to a senior lifestyle. Not only did the event serve as a way to expose specific brands to seniors, but it also provided a valuable networking opportunity and an extra benefit for the community. Now, all of the funds generated from registration fees for the expo went to benefit the Homebound Meals program for the Area Agency on Aging.
The expo actually started as a fundraiser. We are trying to keep people off of wait lists for the home delivered meals program, and we have to get really creative on how we do that nowadays. But what better way to get these resources in front of older adults in the area than double it with a fundraiser, get these companies in front of seniors who are going to need these services eventually.
Well, the Regional Area Agency on Aging serves the senior population of Barton, Jasper, Newton, and McDonald counties. Well, Joplin area business leaders and community members gather to celebrate a year of achievements at the 108th Annual Chamber of Commerce Banquet. The Chamber presented a number of awards, including Outstanding Citizen of the Year, Business of the Year, and the Joseph Newman Rising Star Award, just to name a few. Well, organizers say the Cornerstone celebration honors the success and contributions that make the Joplin community thrive.
It's a great opportunity for us to bring investors together of the Chamber, our members, our business community, and celebrate one another and our successes, because our community wouldn't be what it is without the success of our businesses.
Well, KOAM received recognition for its milestone membership, 50 years as a Joplin Chamber member. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. It's Friday, and of course that means Shannon Becker will be in the studio to share his big 3 stories of the week. Plus, we'll have a look at your weekend forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Oh, welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in the studio with his big 3 news stories of the week. Good morning, Shannon. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Let's take a look at our big 3 stories this week. What's happening where you live? Had a chance to be on the river the other day. This is with the Knoll firefighters and the McDonald County River Patrol.
Right.
They're getting ready for the big season. It actually begins, they say, about May 1st when you start to see the first canoers, but then Memorial Day is the official beginning. They were practicing what you call victim identification. So they had these cones set up along the river, and you have to learn how to maneuver the boat in. There's obviously a lot of debris in the river right now.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, it's not something they go in and clear out.
Oh, really?
Some private people do. It's just kind of a natural part of the river. You're going to have logs. You're going to have stuff everywhere. It's not impeding the flow necessarily.
Good for training, I guess. Yeah.
So they do know there's stuff here, there's stuff there, and it's just part of them all working together again as a cohesive unit. It's in, of course, Knoll, Elk River, in between Pineville and Lanigan. You know where it is.
Yes.
Take a look at our number 2 story, Joplin News First, live and local. This is a fun event I've been a part of for many, many years. It's led by some friends of Cole Darby, and this is David Brewer, used to lead it. He actually passed away in a motorcycle crash. He was a Joplin Police motorcycle patrol officer. So it was a passion of his, but it's continued, of course, since then. What it is, it's the IEP students, or the special education students, for people who don't know what IEP means, from the Joplin High School. They all get a special ride to prom. It began as Cole Darby in 2013. He said, hey, I want to drive their family's classic pickup truck, right? Well, he couldn't drive.
Of course,
He still does come. I talked to him the other night. Yeah, he's 31 now. So the Darbys continue this tradition every year.
Fun.
They have a lot of friends that come out, and of course volunteers. The Joplin Police Department still, they continue to lead it. They've got that flag that honors Officer Brewer. So it's really, really a neat idea. A really neat thing. I don't know if other people do it across the country. I've kind of heard of it, but haven't necessarily seen anybody keep this tradition.
Joplin, maybe. That's just absolutely
They're about
fantastic.
35 kids this year.
Incredible.
Our number 1 story, KOAM News Now, live and local. There's some of that debris we were talking about. This is close here to Joplin. This is Low Water Bridge. Did you lose your paddle boat? Well, I know right where it is, all right? This is the historic Low Water Bridge. Water was up about 4 feet, but it didn't even come close to reaching what they call action stage, which is even below flood stage. So we didn't necessarily get a lot of it. It looks pretty crazy, but it actually wasn't. And it went down really, really fast. This is, of course, at Grand Falls. Other areas, this is on Big Sugar Creek, which runs into Elk River. They did break that up a little bit so they could get that through. And then Friday night, a group of firefighters from here in our immediate area, Joplin, Reddings Mill, and others, Neosho, they got together and they went to help in the West Plains area because they were really inundated with a lot more water as well. That's our big story, number 1 this week, KOAM News Now. And then our bonus story, kids at Southeast Middle School, they learned this week a little bit more about history and also cleaning gravestones. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Interesting, for sure.
So some of the middle schoolers had map testing off for the day. So the Daughters of the Revolution, Daughters of the American Revolution, Sons of the American Revolution got together along with Quality Memorials from Carthage. Nick Hansen, the principal there, said he wanted to kind of do like a service project for the kids, but they could still learn something. So they had pumps with water, and then they had a cleaning solution. They could clean the stones. Crawford County Sheriff's Office was out there. They were also at the same time, they were doing another service project. There's so much of this.
That's incredible.
They were cleaning trash along the road between the cemetery and town because they've adopted the part of the highway. So there's a lot to talk about there, a lot to learn for those kids.
Beautiful
But it was really a neat
service
thing.
project.
Yeah, that was really neat.
All right. Well, Shannon, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Happy to have you as always. Of course, stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, time for some Friday birthdays in the 4 states, and we're going to begin in Baxter Springs with Lucy Zom celebrating birthday number 12. Happy birthday.
And in Seneca, a happy 13th birthday to Emma Miller. It says here, happy birthday from Dad, Maddie, Chief, Nanny, and all your family.
And in Columbus, Catherine King celebrating birthday number 14 today. Very happy birthday to you, Catherine.
And a happy 33rd birthday to Talon Thompson, who now lives in Altadena, California, but was formerly from Pittsburgh. So happy birthday to you.
And in Burlington, Allison Zink celebrating birthday number 40 with love coming from Mom and the family.
And in Galena, happy 79th birthday to Sybil Koger.
And heading over to Carthage for an anniversary, it's Tony and Shirley triplets celebrating 66 years of wedded bliss. A very happy anniversary to the triplets.
And in Girard, a happy birthday to Celia Cobb. It says, love Grandma, Pop Richard, Mom, Dad Hunter, and family.
And then the guy pushing all the buttons this morning for us, Austin Hall in the back, one of our technical media operators celebrating a birthday today. You know, something that comes up, it's almost more fun to work on your birthday here because you get to celebrate it with everybody. So he says no. But still, a very happy birthday, Austin.
Yes.
We are glad that you are here. And like I said, he's the one punching the buttons. So if we make him mad, he just has to hit the right button and you don't see us anymore.
Exactly.
So we don't want to make him mad.
Austin. Well, continuing our list with Holly Gray over in Columbus. Happy birthday.
And we've got Glenn Combs celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday, Glenn.
And Jean Kume is over in Frontenac. Happy birthday.
All right, another great list of birthdays and anniversaries. Of course, we would love for every list to be great. And if you want to celebrate your special day where your loved ones here with us, Elise has information you need to know.
Yes, go ahead and submit your birthdays and your anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. When submitting, be sure to include those wonderful photos and messages to, of course, meet the deadline that you see there at the bottom of your screen, and to also include the date of your celebration when submitting as well.
Of course, very important information because you want to make sure your celebration airs at the appropriate time. All right. Let's start with that look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Skies are clear. The sun is rising backside of the Best Hotel here, and it's starting to look pretty nice. And it will be clear all day long. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. The skies overhead are clear. Haven't seen nearly as many birds as what we saw yesterday. If you recall yesterday morning, there were a lot of birds out there. Roads, of course, filling up with folks heading out to get their Friday underway. And it's going to be a pretty nice Friday. We're a little cooler today, as I've mentioned, than where we were the last couple of days. But believe it or not, our temperatures today are actually close to normal across the area, which is, again, rare. Which is why I said, you know, I don't know how they've established what normal is because it seems like we're never near normal. So I don't know how that works, but we're going to be near normal today. By noon, got some upper 50s, low 60s. North winds start picking up this morning, gusting upwards of 25. Skies will remain clear, and here's the thing. We didn't get as windy last night. We're still not as windy yet this morning. So what happened is we didn't get all of that cold air forced in overnight last night. So we didn't get nearly as cold across most of the areas we were anticipating. So we're starting this morning a little warmer, which means heading into the afternoon will be a little warmer. So instead of the low 60s for most of us, we're looking at mid to upper 60s. So still a pretty decent day. Clear skies continue overnight. Winds will ease up. After about midnight or so, they'll shift out of the southeast at about 5 to 10. Still expecting to be kind of cold tonight. Some upper 30s are possible. Most of us, though, into the low 40s. And again, the good news here is no freeze expected. That's the last thing we need. We already had that over the weekend, last weekend. We not need another one. As we head into our Saturday, though, winds will eventually just shift straight up out of the south. And they're going to start picking up again, gusting upwards of about 25 miles an hour. But south winds begin ushering in warmer air for us as we head into our Saturday afternoon. And the future track, again, it's not broken. We're expecting sunny skies. There's just not much going on. It's next week, though, that things begin to change a little bit for us. So Saturday night into Sunday, the gusty south winds continue. In fact, they may begin to increase overnight Saturday into Sunday and be even breezier on Sunday. Because of that, 5 o'clock Sunday morning, look at these temperatures, upper 50s and low 60s out there. That will eventually start to lead some partly cloudy skies, gusty winds, but our highs on Sunday, very warm, into the low to mid 80s for us. Out west, even upper 80s, and in western parts of Oklahoma, they could even get into the triple digits by Sunday afternoon. There's the sun. It was hiding behind some trees there. Clear skies, great view. 7th at Rangeline in Joplin. 46 right now. Northwest winds at 3. And across the region, we do have some low 40s up north. Iola is the cool spot tied with Miami and Grove, all at 41. Bentonville, Cassville still warmer at 49, but the majority of us in the mid to upper 40s. We're going to start in the upper 40s, clear skies near 60 by 11 o'clock this morning. We're going to have another look at your forecast, plus the news you need to know in just a moment. And when we switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., or if you stay with us on KOAM+, we're going to tell you about a college student that boards the wrong boat and receives a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A group wants to recall a Joplin City Councilman following a series of controversial comments about transgender people. Now, in these comments, he refers to gender dysphoria as a mental illness. Organizers say for those interested, they'll be at Blackthorn Pizza and Pub today from 4 to 6 with petitions to sign. The milder temperatures mean more people spending time outside, and the rising temperatures could also mean rising tempers. Law enforcement says you should always be aware of your surroundings no matter the season. Lieutenant Han also says you should keep valuables out of sight while you're out in the park. Well, utility companies across the country want you to dig safely. Spire Gas wants to encourage residents to call 811 before starting any project that involves putting a shovel into the ground. They say calling a few business days before digging can prevent almost every accidental damage to a utility line. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, a little cool this morning. Not bad today, upper 60s, so right about normal. Sunny skies, north winds gusting to 25. Clear skies through the evening. Back into low 40s, maybe some upper 30s overnight tonight. Southeast winds 5 to 10. Wind shift out of the south tomorrow into Sunday, gusting upwards of 25 tomorrow. And into Sunday, they could gust as high as 40. That brings in much warmer air, though. Low 70s tomorrow, low 80s on Sunday. A little cooler Monday, Tuesday. And then we've got more storm chances next week into the weekend, and warm weather on the way again, back into the 70s and even the 80s.
Righty. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making a layered Italian crescent ring in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOM with CBS Mornings. Gayle King opens up about her historic mission to space. Plus, Paul W. Downs, one of the creators and stars of the hit comedy Hacks, be at the studio to share more about the show's new season.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. Now, this morning, a new at-home therapy could help battle depression and dementia.
And Shannon Becker back in the studio with his big 3 stories of the week. However, that is going to wrap it up for us for now. We will be back here Monday morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.